Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today, I reveal my official 53-man roster projection before the start of Steelers training camp. Now, obviously, things are going to change during camp. Certain players are going to have good camps. Some players might not live up to expectations heading into camp. There'll be injuries. And, of course, we'll probably update this maybe midway through training camp / the preseason. We'll see what ends up happening here. But this is what I'm expecting from the 53-man roster for the Pittsburgh Steelers as we sit here today. Now, before we get into it here, make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you are pumped for the start of the 2025 season for your Pittsburgh Steelers. It's one of the most anticipated seasons I can remember surrounding this football team with Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, Darius Slay, all these new additions to the starting lineup for the Steelers this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be covering every second of it right here on Steelers Talk. So if you appreciate the free coverage we give to you every single day, click that thumbs up icon right now. So I think everyone knows the Steelers are going to carry three quarterbacks like they always do. And I think it's pretty clear, unless Will Howard just absolutely sucks or if there's an injury, it's going to be these three quarterbacks right here. Aaron Rodgers will be your starter. Mason Rudolph will probably start this season as QB2. And then Will Howard will have a true redshirt season as the QB3 behind the two veterans. Then at running back, I think they'll only carry three into the season. Now, it could be four. We'll see what they do with Cordero Patterson and or Trey Sermon. Those are two guys that could be on the bubble. But last year, they only carried three going into the year. And I think Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell are the top three in the rotation right now. Then receivers, I'm going to have them carry six. Now, it could be five. Maybe if they want to carry Cordero Patterson, this receiver number goes to 5. That's how many they carried last year into the season. But keep in mind here that they could add to this room as well. Maybe they bring in a Gabe Davis. Maybe they make a trade for, say, a Romeo Doubs or something like that. But we don't know that that's coming. So based on the receivers currently on the roster, I expect DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, Robert Woods, Ben Skoranek, and Scotty Miller to be the receivers that make the final roster. And some possible wide receiver targets if they want to go out and get a receiver. The top free agency options are the ones with asterisks next to their names: Gabe Davis, Amari Cooper, and Keenan Allen. Allen has said he's not too keen on living in Pittsburgh, so I would say that one's probably the least likely, but keep those names in mind. And then if they're going to trade for somebody, Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks are two names that make sense. Adam Thielen is a guy that could be up for the trade block here, and the Steelers were very interested in him at the trade deadline last year. And then Trey Palmer and John Mechie are some lesser expensive trade options that they could consider as well. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Will the Pittsburgh Steelers add a wide receiver before the start of the season? And if so, which one do you think they add to the roster? All right, this will be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know what you think this team's going to do at receiver before the start of the year. Speaking of weapons, this tight end group is going to be very important to the Steelers' offense this year. I think they carry 4 of them this year in case there's an injury. Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith will be your starters. Then you got Darnell Washington as your blocking tight end, and then Connor Hayward can be your Swiss Army knife, your 4th tight end / your fullback. I think he does make the final roster this year. Then we get to the offensive line, where I think they'll carry 8 offensive linemen this year. Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Fautano will be your starters. And then you got Calvin Anderson, Spencer Anderson, and Ryan McCollum as your backups. And, they might carry 9. We'll see what they end up doing here. They might carry Max Sharping or something like that. But this is a group that I think your starters are pretty set in stone. And I think that, Spencer Anderson's versatility allows this group to only carry 8 heading into the season. Now, coming up here on Steelers Talk, we are on to the defense. I've laid out the offensive roster that I think the Steelers will go into the season with. Now we go into the defense after this break from our friends at Fanatics, where you guys can get a 50% off Steelers hoodie to add to your collection today when you go to chatsports.com/Pitt hoodie. It also helps out the channel. So not only do you guys win with that 50% off sale rate, but also we get part of the proceeds from our friends at Fanatics with every purchase that is made. So you guys can go to chatsports.com/Pitt hoodie. You have to use that link in order for us to get part of the proceeds. So make sure you do click that link and take advantage of this deal of a half-off Steelers sweatshirt for you to add to your arsenal here before the start of the season. Then we get to the defensive side of the ball here. I think they're going to carry 7 defensive linemen, all right? So we got Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, and Derek Harmon as your starters. Derek Harmon will be a quote-unquote starter. He will be on the starting lineup, because in their base formations, they're going to have him listed as a starter. But usually the Steelers go out in nickel 4 down fronts, which means Harmon will be rotating into those fronts. I won't get too much into the weeds here, but Harmon will technically be listed as a starter. Then you get to the rotation guys, all right? Daniel Ekuale is going to be a run-defending interior lineman that they're going to rotate in. Same thing with Y.A. Black, who's got a little bit more mass to him. And then Isaiah Loudermilk and Dean Lowry will also be on the roster this year. They'll help out on special teams, goal line packages, that type of stuff, and they will also rotate in. I think they carry 4 edge rushers this year, so outside linebackers, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, and Jack Sawyer, and I actually do think that all 4 of these players will get some sort of playing time. Even Jack Sawyer, I think on early downs, especially as we get later into the season, he's going to take on kind of that Preston Smith role where he's going to be out there as a run defender on early downs to give TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith a bit of a breather. Nick Herbig, for as good as he is as a pass rusher in a rotational setting, he's not the best run defender. So that's why the Steelers want these 4 linemen and these 4 outside backers in this edge group. But then you get to the inside backers here. And I think they're going to carry 5. All right, I do think Mark Robinson makes the roster because of his special teams ability, but he's certainly a bubble player this year. But Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson will be your every down starters at inside linebacker. Hopefully Cole Holcomb gets back to kind of that solid starter level of play that he was playing at before his injury back in 2023. That would be a huge addition for him to be able to rotate in and give Queenie and Wilson a bit of a breather. But Malik Harrison, a big-time special teams player, he's going to be a big-time contributor there. And if Cole Holcomb isn't up to snuff, Harrison can also take on that third linebacker role. Then safeties, it's a bit of a lighter safety room heading into training camp. We'll see if they add to this room. They certainly could if they want to, but Deshaun Elliott, he's definitely going to be one of your starting safeties here. Juan Thornhill is going to go into camp as the presumptive favorite to start at free safety in their nickel packages, but I also think Sebastian Castro, the UDFA out of Iowa, ends up making this roster, and of course special teams captain Miles Killebrew is going to make this team as well. And then I think they actually carry 6 corners, all right, because there's some players here that can play both safety and cornerback. I'm talking about Jalen Ramsey and Corey Trice, but I think even Beanie Bishop Jr. could play a little bit of safety if they asked him to. But you got Joey Porter Jr. and Darius Slay as your other starting corners on the outside. Brandon Echols can play inside or out. He's an awesome depth piece to have in this group. And of course, Beanie Bishop Jr. played some serious minutes and serious snaps for this defense last year as their starting slot corner. I think he once again makes the team this year. And then when it comes to your special teams group here, Chris Boswell, Cam Johnson, and Christian Kuntz, it's pretty much, I wouldn't say it's completely set in stone because Johnston will technically have that camp battle with Corliss Waitman, who did so good for this team last year at the punter position, but Johnston's coming back from an injury. He's just got more of a pedigree, and I think he ends up winning the job at the end of the day. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Who will surprisingly make the Steelers roster this year? Who's somebody that nobody is seeing coming right now that's going to end up making the roster and maybe even make an impact for the Steelers this year? Let me know who your guy is down there in the comments section. And we'll finish up today's show here with my practice squad priorities. These are the people that I'm not projecting make the final 53-man roster, but guys that I would want to keep around on the practice squad to help develop. All right, so Cordero Patterson, the reason why I would want to maybe keep him around is because I want him as a potential mentor to Caleb Johnson, who's in the first year of this system. Patterson has played that role as the bigger early down number 1 running back in this Arthur Smith offense. He's done it very well. Having a guy in the building to help Caleb along, even if he's not on the 53-man roster, is something that could help. Trey Sermon, Rock Taylor, DJ Thomas Jones is a name to keep your eye out for because he plays fullback and he's an awesome blocker. Dylan Cook is a guy that they could keep on the practice squad as well. Same thing with Max Sharping. Jeremiah Moon is somebody that's played some snaps for the Steelers in his time here in Pittsburgh. Logan Lee a 6th-round pick a couple years back, I think might get a practice squad priority this year. Same thing with day 3 pick from this year's class, Carson Bruner, and then 7th-round pick from this year, Dante Kent, who the Steelers really like, but I just don't know if there's enough room in that cornerback room to keep him on the initial 53. All right, that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, guys. I can't believe it, but the offseason's over. The training camp is here. It's going to be absolutely awesome, guys. If you want our extensive coverage of every single day of Steelers training camp practice, preseason, all that different stuff leading up to the start of the 2025 NFL regular season right here on Steelers Talk, click that subscribe button right now.